Hi, NO 6th and 7th graders. So today I'd like you to have a calculator out if you're doing this lesson with me, because it helps you understand a little better and you can kind of go along when I do it, okay? Because there's some things I kind of want you to discover for yourself that it's just not going to be as great of an experience if I just tell you, okay? So we're going to talk about a circle. We're going to first just kind of go over the parts of a circle, and then we're going to talk about circumference of a circle, okay? And circumference is a lot like perimeter. It's kind of the perimeter of the circle, or how far is it around the outside. So if I took a string and went in a big circle, how long would that string be? Okay, so let's talk about this. A circle has many specific parts, including the R is the radius. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, which is the distance from the center of the circle to the outside edge. So if I'm doing a radius, if this is my center, let's see, I'm going to make a purple center. I'm going to pretend like that's exactly in the center. Then this is my radius, okay? It's from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. Okay. All right, next we have the D, which is the diameter. Okay, which is a straight line that passes through the center of the circle. It has two endpoints on the circle. What that means is endpoints are just points on the circle. So I go through the center to the other side of the circle. It's a straight line. That's my diameter. If you notice, two radiuses make up a diameter. So diameter is equal to two radiuses. Okay? Fun fact. All right, and then circumference is the distance around the circle. Okay, so that would be all the way around my circle. So if I went all the way around, it's kind of like the perimeter of a rectangle or something, only it's called the circumference because it uses a different formula. All right, so there's one other thing that I just want to go over that's really not explained too well on here. Just so you know, if I don't go through the center of the circle, let's say I just go from one point of the circle to another point in the circle, that's called a chord. Okay, so that just is, you can definitely draw a line from one part of the circle to another part of the circle, then it's called a chord. It's a diameter if it goes through the center. It's also a chord because it is a straight line from one point to another. It's just a specific type of chord. A radius is not a chord because it doesn't attach to 2 points on the circle. A radius is just a radius, just from the center of the circle. All right, so here it says Mike and his friends work at a tire factory. The factory manufactures several different size tires for different vehicles. Fill out the table below to show how the diameter and circumference of tires are related. Okay, so all circles. And if you ever wonder how we get some things, here's how you do it. So if I took the diameter, which is 14 inches, and then the circumference, which is 43.96. Remember how we just did the ratios with y over x not that long ago? Okay, so if I take y over x, okay, I want you to divide that out if you can. So it's going to be the same for all of these. I'm going to do y over x. So for the second one, I would do 56.52 divided by 18. I would do 75.36 divided by 24. 113, oops, that's a 3.04 divided by 36. So it's the circumference divided by the diameter, okay? Anytime I do that, so if you've divided it out, you've probably figured out the pattern here. I get 3.14. 3.14 to 1. 3.14 to 1. So when I divide these out, 3.14 to 1. If you ever wonder where pi came from, here is how we know what pi is, okay? It is literally when I take a circle, take the circumference, and I divide it by the diameter. I will always get pi. Now, you might get something very close, like pi is not exact, right? 3.1415, blah, 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 blah. It keeps going on forever. But you will get close enough to 3.14, very close if you have the exact measure it very closely, okay? I don't know that you could ever measure exact, but you will get very close to pi. So that's how we got pi. Okay, and we are going to use 3.14 for pi as we're going through this, okay? All right, so fun. All right, so here we go. We're on the second part where it says, the circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle and can be used, you can find using two different formulas. They're the same formula, okay? So the one I mostly see is 2 times pi times your radius, okay? Now, remember I said a radius is equal to, or a diameter, is equal to 2 radiuses? Again, I'm screwing that up. 2 radiuses? I have 2 radiuses, so my other formula is diameter times pi. They have the same formula. 2 radiuses equal 1 diameter. I multiply it by pi, okay? So that's why you can use one or the other, depending on if you're given the radius or you're given the diameter, okay? So this one, we're given the radius. So I'm going to use the 2 times pi times my radius, okay, 2 pi r. So I'm going to use the formula area equals 2 pi r. I'm going to plug in my values, I know, okay. So I don't know the area yet, but I do know that 2 radiuses, 2 times 3.14 times, put that there, 6. Now I should multiply them out, which is the same as 12. I did this times this first because it's commutative, times 3.14. I'm going to get an answer of 37.68. I'm going to pop down here. Now, it's not an area, so it's just in inches, because it's like if I took that and unwound it and just measured it, I would measure it in inches, not in squared inches, because it's not area. All right, the middle thing says in terms of pi. Sometimes you're going to see the area of a circle in terms of pi. All that means is area is equal to, I knew what my 2 radiuses were 12, so I could write it as 12 pi, okay? So it's really just my 2 radiuses multiplied together times pi. That's what it means by in terms of pi. All right, if I go on to the second one, I know the diameter this time. Okay, I know the diameter is 14, so I'm going to use the formula area equals diameter times pi. You can always pick which one you want to remember and always use the diameter. If I want to use the diameter here, but it said the diameter is 12. It's 2 pi's. Okay, so I could always use this formula and just double my radius when I'm in my head. Doing it in my head, I mean. All right, so if we plug these in, I'm going to say the area is equal to my diameter, which is 14, times 3.14, which is going to give me, when I multiply that out, 14 times 3.14, I'm going to get 43.96. And remember, you got to put your units in. It's centimeters. Now, this one's easy, because if I'm doing it in terms of pi, I literally just have to write out area is equal to 14 pi. Okay? All right, so this one, it's giving me the radius. So I could figure out the diameter, right? So my radius is equal to 3.5. My diameter is equal to 2 times 3.5, or 7. So I could use either formula, okay? Let's use the diameter times pi. I already figured out what my diameter is. I'm going to plug in my values. Area is equal to 7. I'm going to use my diameter times 3.14. When I do that, I get 21.98 meters. All right, and then when I write it in terms of pi, again, it's really easy because I just do this times pi. Okay, so you will see areas in both of these methods, okay? Usually you're going to use this one if I ask you for the area of a circle, but just know that sometimes it'll say the area is 7 pi, okay? Because it's a little bit more exact. We use 3.14. It's the closest rounded to the hundredths place for pi, okay? If it's a fraction, you use 22/7, okay? All right, so let's do some problem solving. This says Ferris wheel. A Ferris wheel travels in a circular motion and measures 40 meters from the top of the car to the bottom of the car. So we're going from the top of the car to the bottom. Top car to bottom car. So that would be my diameter, right? So it's giving me my diameter. It says that this is 40 meters. So that means, what do I know? I know that, what is the length of diameter? Diameter is 40 meters. It's from one end of a circle to the other end of a circle. My radius is going to be half of that. Radius is 20 meters. So that would be like me saying from here to this car. That would be your radius. All right, so now it says if a car travels one time around the Ferris wheel, all the way around, so this car goes all the way around, how many meters does the car travel? All right, so I want to know the circumference, because circumference is all the way around. So I'd say C is equal to diameter times pi. Put in my formulas. C is equal to my diameter is 40 times 3.14, and then I would just multiply that out. And I would get this 125.6, and that was in meters. So it would travel 125.6 meters. This says on another Ferris wheel, a car will travel 100.48 meters to go around once. What is the height from the top of the car? So it's giving me the circumference. And it wants me to find what is the diameter, the height from the top car to the bottom car. Okay, so I'm just going to plug it into my formula. Exact same formula I used on here. I'm going to use circumference is equal to diameter times pi, and then I'll put in what I know. I know the circumference is 100.48. I don't know my diameter, but I do know pi. I'm just going to put the d after it because it looks better in an equation. And guess what? I'm just going to have a one-step equation, divide by 3.14, divide by 3.14, and that's going to give me my diameter, which when I divided it out was equal to 32 meters. Okay, so I can use my formula both ways. I can use it if I know the circumference, I can find the diameter. What if I want to find the radius of this? So if I want the radius, I just take half of that. It's 32 divided by 2. So my radius would be 16 meters. I should put meters up there, okay? So it's really easy. Once I know one part of information, I can figure out, sorry, you can't see that. I can figure out the rest of it. So if I know the area, I can figure out the diameter, and from the diameter, I can figure out the radius. If I know the diameter, I can figure out the radius, and I can figure out the circumference. So I only really need to know one little bit of information for a circle, and I can figure out everything else. All right, that's it for circumference. Remember, it's the distance around. It's like the perimeter of a circle. All right, you guys have a fabulous day.